I can't believe we killed it! Yee!
浮かない顔をしているな、レム。やはり心配は尽きないか？
クルシュ様。
The epitome of simply saying someone's name instead of talking normally cliché. That seems like quite possibly the worst on-the-spot strategy of all time when you consider how he literally just smashed the wagons that came before them.
安心しなよ。僕はそこの彼とは全然違うから。争いとか嫌いなんだ。
Walking on the spot for a pretty awkward amount of time. Gotta love the respectful Subaru just shoving injured people about to look for Rem. No, I don't think that's likely. Probably one of those really insistent cases of a wrong identity where the person keeps saying their name and shaking them by the shoulders right up close.
残念だが、手の施しようがない。どんな治療をしても目覚めないんだ。
なんでだよ。それでも治療しか。治療したったら治せよ。
Subaru misses an absolutely essential point in time to ask this guy why not when he says nothing he can do will wake her up now.
その代わりにと言ってはなんだけど、暴食について少し話そうか。
暴食
For the first and firstly time of the first, nope.
スバル。
大丈夫。もう落ち着いてるよ、エミリアさん。
Well, that is quite some reading into her statement that comprised of a single word, that being your name. She could have been asking you to pass the sugar or something, bruh.
もクルシュ様と同じ治療師でも復元できない記憶障害や原因不明の眠り姫って病気の報告が何度もあったんだよ。でも今となってはそれも全部。奴らはエミリア様をハーフエルフを根絶やしにしようって執着してる。今回のことはそのほんの片鱗ですよ。
やめろバカバカしい。
It would hardly make sense to try and suggest that they specifically went after her master in an entirely different set of wagons just because they're after Emilia. I think it's more logical at this point in time to suggest they're going after all of them potentially.
今は届かなくても私の魔法で解決してみせます。ですから危ないことはもう。
Well, I mean, no one has even brought up the notion of her actually joining them in a battle herself. It's more like her army. No one said her.
近くまたお会いできるのを楽しみにしております。
Emilia figuring out how hand-holding works.
今後のご活躍を心よりお祈りいたします。
レムのことずっと気にしてる。そのことを隠す必要なんてないの。大切な子なんでしょ。
You're still feeling the need to ask that after he spent the entire night with her, crying over her and saying that he will get her back and stuff, and now she's like, she's pretty important to you, huh?
エミリア様、お戻りになられるのをお待ちしておりました。フレデリカ？
Shouldn't you know that?
優しくて強くてめっちゃ働き者で、ラムとは俺の目から見ても本当に仲のいい姉妹でさ。
What do you mean by even I? Like, he's usually such a klutz when it comes to people who are pretty tight. Like, he saw his parents hugging on the sofa and was like, are they a couple? To his mate or something.
本当に不思議なお部屋なんてあるの？
ああ、ベアトリス。ペトラも知ってるだろ。
それと、これを。
Not gonna lie, I felt the awkwardness that poor girl felt holding that thing out for so long. Take it! Take it!
ひょっとしてエルフ？あんまで！
Naruto, run!
敵な機体だね。
Licking fingers and your hand slightly related sound effects.
結界がてめえら無視してこの女にしか反応しねえのは当然だろうが。つまり聖域ってのはアジン族の中でも根血の人たちが暮らす場所ってことか。ご名答だ。
He says, you guessed it, having only just said, you know damn well why the barrier reacted to her and not you two. So which is it? You should be aware of the situation or we shouldn't.
ただ
私には何日か短い間だけどここにはいないみんなの家族と過ごしました。
Character with their eyes perpetually shut cliche.
すみません。おいスバル、悪いなおっちゃん。また今度ゆっくり寄らしてもらうわ。ああ、なんかすまんことを言ったみたいだ。
Clearly not, considering the gripping of his head and chest and clearly audible and visible pain in his face. Yes, Subaru, feel your pain in your own time. Now is the time to endlessly chatter away with this old dude.
足かなり上がってるだろう。
You can hardly classify it as going up pretty high when you can literally extend it all the way up. That's something else entirely. That's a full extension. Fake modesty!
で、なんでお母さんついてきてんの？引きこもり出して親同伴で登校って罰ゲームってレベルじゃねえぞ。
He only asks this question when they're already well en route and not say when she's there next to him putting her own shoes on or something.
いろいろ振り返るきっかけがあって、それでさ。
何でもかんでもお父さんみたいにやろうとするのはやめたってことね。
Was his father a shut-in for months refusing to go to school?
お母さんだってスバルのこと見てるんだよ。小さい頃は座薬だって入れたことあるんだからお尻の穴まで見てるんです。
聖域の解放にここの住人の全員が賛成しているわけではないわ。中には聖域の解放を望まない保守派もいるということ。
聖域の解放を望まないって。
Yeah, and she actually said as much not once, but twice, believe it or not.
ガーフィールはともかくリュウズさんのことも信用してねえのか。
フレデリカのこともね。
Opportunistic wind cliche was extremely opportunistic right there.
今度こそうまくいってほしいよな。モロロクの歌種は一昼夜続く。じゃシャレになんねえしや。お前はさ、聖域の外に出たら何がしたいんだ？いきなりだな、おい。
Not really out of nowhere. It's not like you were discussing your favourite type of seafood restaurant and Subaru spat out that line. No, you were talking about the trial and how you hope it goes quicker, which does quite naturally flow into a conversation about what you do if she succeeds and you're free.
随分と古臭いおまじないね。
ペトラに出発前にもらったんだ。
フレデリカが新入りに悪さを働くなんてありえない。
That's quite the assumption about what he was thinking.
ああ、でも大体見当はついてるんだ。過去を見せられたんだろ。過去？なんでてめえが試練の内容を知ってやがるんだ？
He just goes ahead and assumes that there's no way Emilia could have mentioned any of it to him.
少なくともてめえにだけは絶対に結界を解いてもらいたいとは思わねえ。エミリア様の代わりにてめえが試練に挑むんだよ。待てああ？俺様が反対すんのが意外かよ。
Well, that's a leap in logic based on what he said. Almost as though we can read his damn mind. Which, if that's true, obviously I'll remove a sin. But yeah, he says, wait. And his reply is, what? You surprised that I'm against it? Like, no. I want you to hold up so we can discuss the weird thing you said, bruh.
ああ、ペトラ、留守番の間変わったことはなかったか？特にフレデリカに。
フレデリカ姉様？
Nah, the other one, mate. That really shouldn't make any sound. Now back to the episode so I can win the heck out of this scene on the other version.
ラム姉様より役立つってフレデリカ姉様も。フレデリカ、何を吹き込んだの？
Ram is caught up worrying what nasty things she may have said about her while she was gone, while there's an expert killer inside the mansion, potentially hot on their heels, and they're making a plan to get back in there.
敵を抑える役割は言い出しっぺの私が負います。
Also though, no, it was Subaru's idea, not yours. You just agreed, you lovely little blonde monster, you.
ほうけてない。
よし、今のうち。
Where have you been? He's been bleeding from that spot and the very obvious blade sticking out of his shoulder for like 10 minutes now.
ペトラすげえよ。ほら情けねえな。そんなの。いや、今のは泣き言じゃない。
Yeah, alright, the Beast Girl is actively fighting Elsa and Ram is leading off a powerful mob beast and he's here having a chat with her. I can get on board with removing the blade from his back. I can even let go that he had to wrap her slightly cut hand prior to moving on, but there's no time for a chat. Go do your thing, damn it!
知っておけば選択肢が増える。俺は情報を全部入手してからクリア方法のために頭を悩ませたいタイプなんだよ。
Walking behind someone at night through a forest with your eyes closed for 7 whole seconds and not walking into a branch or a tree or whatever.
人の母と根血の父の間の子じゃ。故に森を自由に出入りできる。
自由に出入り？笑わすんな。10年間一度も戻ってきやしねえじゃねえか。
Yeah, but I think she means technically speaking, she can come and go as she pleases if she wants to.
目覚めたか。
Asking someone if they're awake when they're awake, brought to you by the one and only country who loves to ensure you're actually awake when you stood there having walked into the room holding a cup of coffee, Japan.
あれ以上あなたが危険だった。僕とラムさんの判断です。
Making that sound with just your fingies.
追っての足止めを。何？スバル様が逃げる時間くらいは。
I love this anime so much, but stopping to have a chat with these guys and then staying there after having been given the information they needed equals a sin.
なんだ。それはお前がこうなった原因を知っている場合だけだ。
He says all of this, surprised and shocked, as though when he first turned up she didn't talk quite a bit about his soul and mental health breaking completely.
これは何のための力だと思う？
君を死なせないための力だ。運命をやり直し、君に過ちを許さない力だよ。
That doesn't answer the question as to why she gave specifically him this ability, and he doesn't even ask the question again in that way.
魔女ってのはみんな死んでるはずだろ。
それなら今ここで君と話す僕は？
This lovely looking witch lady would be good at anime sins right there.
おお、やっと会えたな。
は？
はって何ですか、はって。
お前、いや、君も魔女なんだよな。
She says to avoid making eye contact, and literally the first thing he does is make sustained eye contact. Even though it was the wrong witch at the time, he didn't know that.
強欲の魔女を受け入れるにはリューズメイエルの器では不足じゃったんじゃ。
そんなことやる前に分からなかったのかよ。
Subaru be sat there acting like he's an expert in the field of cloning and housing your soul within said clones.
まさかドナチャ？
どなっちゃ。
お茶に巧妙に偽装した体液を2回飲まされてて。
Other than the second time when you spat it all back out.
まるで妖精さんみたいだね、エミリアタン。
あ、いけないんだ。そんな風に人のこと悪く言って。
I'm really starting to think that Emilia doesn't understand Japanese very well.
私だって怒るんだからね。
褒めたつもりだったんだけど。
妖精って邪精霊の一種でしょ。
Oh, well, say that then.
行こう、パトラッシュ。
よかった。じゃあそのお礼にデート1回。
わかった。
それじゃあ私準備してきます。
また必ず。
Naruto run number 2.
だからあなたの相手は分担した通り相方に任せることにするわ。
逃げるなんてつれないじゃない。
Giving yourself away before you attack cliche. You best believe the wind script is overflowing with, well, winds, but on here, he managed to tear himself off a sleeve like he used a pair of damn scissors.
あれがあんな風に死ぬのがあいつの悲願だって。お前はそういうのかよ。
No, he's saying dying in general was her dearest wish, not the whole Elsa with a knife from behind situation specifically.
いいかい、スバル君。本当の本当に君にとって大事なたった一つのもの、それ以外の一切を手放し、ただ
They're insanely lucky that these man-eating rabbits have decided to go on super slow mode in order to allow them to finish their quite lengthy conversation. Can't show it either, but at the end he makes his way to Emilia somehow, even though he's been eaten to shreds by the rabbits, but why they stopped and left him just about capable enough to get there without any of them in sight is beyond me. What kind of a weirdo would check if their eyeball was still in their head by touching above and below the eye rather than holding your eye closed and touching it? Weirdo. Also though, sight kinda gives it away.
お前は誰なんだ？
色欲の魔女の
Would it really have killed you to age up a bit the Witch of Lust? I mean, come on, man!
それを君と僕で交わさないか？
交わしたとして何がある？
何より君の死に戻りを僕は共有できる。
お前まさか契約のセールスポイントを教えてくれてんのか？
Yeah, but I mean, you did ask, bruh. Silly boobaroo!
都合のいい女として扱われるのも本望さ。望むなら君の慰めに僕の体を使ってくれて構わない。喜んで捧げるよ。
Sold! I'll take the deal!
お前か。
気がつきましたか。
おっと。
Well, since the entire first half of this episode was so well written and put together that I only found wins to talk about in massive fat paragraphs, I gotta at least drop a sin here for my boy Otto actually asking if Subaru is awake when he's up and stroking the ground dragon. Like, bruh!
Nathan Burr, Bird Without a Word, Arias Alibari, Aidan White, PK Fan, Ali 50, Ryan Anderson, Isael Caldera, Chris Harris, Yona Shgal, Manolo Saucedo Munoz, Luis Hernandez, Kim Munt, Jason Davies, Yuki Ali, Manuel Morales, Dark Lord Bloody Soul, Sentimento, Juffa6263, Amy San, Alfredo Jimenez, Silva, Master Tank, Boogie, Kevin Nauta, Stefio, Brendan Kriya, Storm 970, Mr. Waffle 64, Fondola Ninja, Kaj Warzorman, Jordan Samuels, Sean Graves, The Epic Amanda, Crimson Shadows, Kyle Farmer, Buzzbomb 3000, Adora Blue, Yagai 7636, Mr. Berigino.